When you're a new player and just starting out, Blind Pick is the only game mode you can play and requires you to call the role you want to play. These are related to lanes, be it top, bot, or mid. Sup, most people correctly guess, is support, but the three letters that stump you, JGL. Assuming that there's a role called Juggle, you lock in ADC and load into the game. At about 1:30 you start seeing pings on the minimap on top of the juggler. Leash please appears in chat, and you're not sure what that means, so you head into lane. Then a torrent of missing pings falls on top of you, a cascade of yellow question marks as the jungler goes off at you in chat for not helping them. This is a pretty standard experience for beginners and stems from the fact that you suck at League of Legends. JGL is the jungle role, and this is their domain. The jungle is the area of twisting walls between the lanes and has one player on each team contesting the territory. In the jungle, monsters will spawn in fixed locations that the jungler will have to kill in order to gain gold and EXP in a true PvE experience. These monsters won't attack you unless provoked, and will leave you alone if you run away far enough. You have some time in between killing all the wildlife though, so you perform something called a gank. Ganking is a fundamental of jungling and means coming into a lane in order to pick up kills or blow important spells from the enemy laners. Ganking is the easiest way to be a successful jungler, as the 2v1 will generally mean you get a kill and get you and your ally laner ahead. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look at the jungle itself. In each quarter of the map there are two minor camps. A camp is the term for any group of jungle monsters, and one major camp. Minor camps all give different experience and gold amounts, knowing this is not that important for starting out, but matters a lot more when you're jungling at a higher elo, as you need to judge what camps will get you to the next level the fastest. Major camps are the buff monsters. Over here we've got Red Brambleback, and over there the Blue Sentinel. They're called buffs because when you slay them they enhance you, by either giving blue buff, which restores mana and gives ability haste, or red buff, which gives health regeneration and makes your auto attacks burn the enemy and apply a slow to them. The buff monsters are the key to deciding your path, the route you're going to take when you're clearing the jungle. We'll touch on pathing a bit more later. Then we have the epic monsters, Dragons, Rift Herald, and the Baron Nashor. Dragons spawn in their special pit here. The first dragon appears 5 minutes into the game, and after you slay it, another will fly into the pit 5 minutes later. There are 7 types of dragons in League, 6 basic ones, and the Elder Dragon, which is massive compared to the others. Killing a dragon will grant your team gold and experience, as well as a unique buff for the whole team. The first 3 dragons are random, however past that any more dragon spawns will remain the same type as the third one. Alongside this, the map will change into an elemental rift, which adds impactful new dynamics which spices up tactics moving into the mid game. Once you slay 4 dragons, you will be granted a dragon soul. These are very powerful buffs that are designed to allow your team to push to end the game. The soul you get will match what type the third dragon is. So, let's talk about these different dragons. First off, we've got the Fiery Infernal Dragon. This dragon grants bonus attack damage and ability power to the team that kills it, and creates the Infernal map, breaking down walls and burning away bushes. The Infernal Soul gives your next ability or auto attack an additional burst of damage around your target. Then we've got the Cloud Dragon. Kills on them gives slow resist, auto combat move speed, and make the Cloud Rift, which contains areas of wind zones which speed up anyone walking through them. Cloud Soul gives the team bonus movement speed, which increases after they've used their ultimate spell. Next, we have the Mountain Dragon, the tankiest dragon which gives stacking bonus armor and magic resist. The Mountain Rift spawns new walls in the jungle and at the fronts of epic monster pits. Mountain Soul gives your team a shield which regenerates after being out of combat. Ocean Drake grants all allies healing upon slaying it and creates the Ocean Rift, making it rain and causing additional bushes to sprout up. Ocean Soul will give you large amounts of healing whenever you deal damage. Now we move on to our newest 2 dragons coming with Season 12, the Chemtech and Hextech Dragons. Kills on the Chemtech Dragon will give your team more power when fighting enemies with more current health than you, and taking down the Hextech Dragon grants ability haste and attack speed. These dragons have more impactful changes to the rift. The Chemtech rift will create large camouflage zones in the jungle, stealthing you from enemies. The Hextech rift brings in teleporters, which will transport you across the jungle. Do note that the teleporters in base are one way only, meaning you can't access the base from the jungle. Chemtech Soul allows you to live out your George Romero fantasies, as when you die you come back as a zombie who can attack and use abilities for a few seconds. Hextech Soul will make your first ability or auto slow the enemy. These arc through minions and other champions too, enabling the chase down. And finally, we have the Elder Dragon. If gaining the soul didn't allow you to end the games, this will. The Elder Dragon will only spawn after the Dragon Soul has been claimed, and is much stronger than any other dragon. Killing him will grant the Elder buff, which causes every ability that you hit to burn the enemy. Any enemy champ who's burning when they drop below 20% HP is instantly executed, making it near impossible to win a teamfight into. Rift Herald is much simpler. Found in the Baron pit on the top side of the map, she is a tanky epic monster who, once killed, can be summoned to push lanes and charge at towers to do huge structural damage. Shelly first spawns at 8 minutes and once slain takes 6 minutes to respawn. At 1945 she will despawn as the Baron Nashor goes to take her place. Killing Shelly is pretty simple, as hitting the eye on her back will do massive damage and she can be taken down by one champion without causing too much pain. On being killed, she will drop the Eye of the Herald. You need to pick this up in order to summon her later, and it will replace what trinket you have for the time being. Then we move on to the most important epic monster, the Baron Nashor. This giant purple worm spawns at 20 minutes and is the cause for most big team fights in the late game. Baron has a ton of health and does loads of damage, so starting it can be precarious. But if slaying gives all alive players on that team a huge buff, which allows you to bulk up nearby ally minions. This is your best way of sieging your enemy's base, as towers are much weaker when minions are close and your enemy can't clear the waves as quickly. Just a heads up about doing Baron, you always want your tank to start hitting it first, as that will make it auto them first, and whoever has been tagged by Baron in the last 8 seconds will do 50% reduced damage to it. Oof, it took a while, but that's all the monsters you'll meet on the Rift. Now you know what they all do, we can move on to how you kill them. That's what the Smite summoner spell is for. Smite will instantly do damage to a jungle camp when used and also heals you. It is essential for jungling, as you do not have access to the jungle items without having Smite. That's right, I'm bringing these two back on screen. The wall of text can be alarming, but they're essentially doing the same thing. Give bonus EXP when doing jungle camps, apply a burn on any monster you hit, and give bonus mana regen when inside the jungle. This is why when clearing you want to make sure that you hit each monster, as the burn helps a lot towards killing them quickly. The item you go depends on what smite upgrade you want. Smite starts with a base damage of 450, but after casting it 5 times, the item will disappear from your inventory and the upgraded smite will deal 900 damage and a bonus effect. Hailblade upgrades your smite to be able to do a burst of damage to champions and slow them. Ember Knife upgrades your smite to cause your enemy to deal reduced damage to you, and your attacks will apply a burn to that enemy. Your choice on which one you go depends on your champion. Hailblade is for champs who require the additional slow for ganks, and Ember Knife is for duelists who want the advantage in the 1v1s and 2v2s. Right, you got your smite, you know what all the jungle monsters do, let's get into the actual gameplay. The first clear of any jungler is the most important, as what camps you start will change how your teammates and enemies will play. There are 3 standard clear paths for junglers. These are tried and tested and rely on no funky things happening, such as early invades or an ally taking your first camp by accident. It happens, trust me, be very careful around Twitch, Poison and Darius Bleed. The first is the full clear, killing every camp on your side of the map. This works best for champs who want to stay safe and get to level 6 as fast as possible. You can do either red into Krugs, Raptors, Wolves, Blue and Gromp, or blue into Gromp, Wolves, Raptors, Red and Krugs. The next is the early gank or invade. which enables you to gank a solo lane before the enemy jungler or invade the enemy jungle and kill them while they're fighting their monsters. An example of this is going blue into Gromp in then red. This is the fastest way of reaching level 3 with both buffs. Then we have the split map. This is normally seen in pro play and comes down to whether you have side lane who wins super hard early and can come help you while you're invading. It is where each jungler only stays on their side of the map, either top or bot, and goes wolves into blue, Gromp, cross the river, enemy raptors red, and then Krugs. We haven't mentioned the Rift Scuttler yet, as in recent patches its initial power was decreased massively, but this monster roams the river and deals 0 damage. When killed, it will reveal an area of the river and give allies moving through it a speed boost. Also, that shield can be broken instantly by crowd control or smiting. The first crab will be significantly less tanky than the following ones, and are important to take before big fights around Dragon or Baron, as they give critical vision for whatever team is grouped up in the river. I mentioned ganking earlier, but how do you actually do it? This is where the jungler's favourite tool comes in, the Oracle's Lens. Picked up in the shop before junglers head out onto their first clear, this ward disabler allows you to sneak past enemy vision and catch laners out. An important thing to note about disabled wards, when they're disabled you will stay hidden, but if you then start to hit the ward to destroy it, you will be revealed. There are 3 ways to gank, starting with the simplest, river ganking. This is coming in from the side of the lane and is the best way of picking off enemies who are pushed up in the lane too far, as you pincer them. This is the easiest to pull off and is why most laners ward the bushes that lead into the river. The second is the riskiest gank, the tower dive. This is teaming up with an ally to kill an enemy while they are under their tower, without one of you dying. This is risky as towers do a ton of damage, and if you misplay the enemy you are trying to dive, can end up with 2 new kills under their belt. Champs like Elise are famed for diving, as her repel ability allows her to become untargetable, so she can soak up a tower shot and switch the tower's targeting to the higher HP ally. The third gank is the least common, the lane gank. This is coming in from behind your ally laner, expecting the enemy team to dive your ally, or sneaking up into the side bushes and surprising your enemy when you leap out. So far we've ignored the enemy jungler, but there are very important aspects of jungling relating to them. Counter jungling, going into the enemy jungle and killing their camps, denying them gold and experience. This is risky as the enemy laners will generally be able to collapse on you quicker if you're found out. The general rule comes down to tracking the enemy jungler. If a ward or an ally sees them on the bot side of a map, then you are able to move into their top side and take their camps. They will attempt to do the same thing though, so dropping defensive control wards in the entrances to your jungle is never a bad idea. Outside of the early game, you should stick to your champion's strengths. If you're an assassin, try and catch an enemy in the side lane. If you're an engaged tank, group up and look for good fights. When it comes to big objectives, the best time to do them is when you have a numbers advantage, and when the enemy jungler is not in the surrounding area. This is because you don't want to contest for the smite execute, and if the enemy team engages on you, your team should be able to turn away from the monster and fight them head on. I can't really teach you how to out-smite the enemy jungler, and a 50-50 situation is never a good one to be in. There are so many situations where a 50-50 smite can come up, and sometimes it's the best thing to do to just back off and let the monster heal back up. And that's the basics of jungling. Just a heads up, jungling is easily the role that requires the most thinking in it, and laners will often blame you because they lost their 1v1s. It's unfortunately something that comes with the territory, and there's no real reason to fight in the chat as it doesn't achieve anything. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate you liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next vid where we go all technical with laning mechanics. Goodbye.